Have you ever wondered why some people fade after 70 while others keep growing strong? As we age, it's easy to think that the worst is behind us, that we've already made our biggest mistakes. But the truth is, many people unknowingly make choices in their later years that slowly drain the joy, freedom, and dignity from their lives. And by the time they notice, it's often too late to reverse. In this video, we're going to walk through 12 of the most common yet overlooked things that can quietly ruin your life after 70. These aren't just bad habits, they're traps. Each one has the power to erode your independence, damage your relationships, or rob you of the peace you've worked a lifetime to earn. You'll hear why these behaviors are so dangerous, what they look like in everyday life, and how to recognize if they're starting to creep into your own routine. And most importantly, you'll learn what you can do to protect yourself from them before they steal the best years you still have ahead. Stay with me through the end, because the last few signs might surprise you. They're not what most people think about, but they can quietly cause the most harm if left unchecked. And knowing them now could make all the difference. Now let's get started. Number 1, neglecting your physical health. One of the fastest ways to lose your independence after 70 is by letting your physical health slide. It doesn't happen all at once. It's the result of small decisions repeated every day, like skipping a short walk, eating too much processed food, or ignoring that tightness in your back that wasn't there last month. Over time, these little choices snowball into major consequences. Your legs weaken, your balance worsens, and soon, even simple things like climbing stairs or getting out of bed feel like a challenge. The body naturally slows down with age, yes, but it doesn't mean you're supposed to surrender to that decline. Many older adults assume aches and fatigue are just part of getting older. And while some change is natural, most of what we think is aging is actually disuse the muscles and joints. You don't move, begin to lock up. The more you sit, the harder it gets to stand. And before long, the body forgets how to support you. There's a man I knew, Charles, 78 years old, who used to be full of life. He loved fishing, worked on his car every Saturday, and even danced with his wife in the kitchen. But after a small surgery, he stopped moving as much. He told himself he was just recovering, but months went by and his strength kept slipping away. It wasn't the surgery that took away his freedom. It was inactivity. When he finally tried to get moving again, even a walk around the block felt like a mountain. It doesn't have to be this way. A short daily walk, some stretches in the morning, or even standing while watching TV can make a world of difference. What matters is consistency, not intensity. Your body doesn't need perfection, it just needs movement. By choosing to stay physically active, even in small ways, you're choosing to keep your independence. Your confidence in your ability to live life on your own terms. And remember, when you take care of your body, you're not just avoiding weakness. You're making a statement to yourself and to the world that you still matter and you still have things to do. Number 2, letting your social circle disappear. Losing your physical health is one thing, but losing your connection to people that can ruin your spirit faster than any illness. After 70, it's easy to start pulling away friends, move some, pass on. Your daily routines change, and before you know it, entire weeks go by without a real conversation. What many people don't realize is that loneliness doesn't just feel bad. It's actually dangerous. Studies have shown that social isolation in older adults is linked to everything from heart disease to cognitive decline. The brain, like the body, needs stimulation. And when you don't use your social muscles, chatting, laughing, listening, they weaken too. Conversations sharpen your mind, remind you of who you are, and give your days rhythm and color. Without them, time feels heavier, slower, more hollow. I once knew a woman named Linda. She was 81, lived alone after her husband passed, and didn't have any nearby family. She was sharp as a tack, but slowly started to retreat into her home. "I just don't feel like going out anymore," she'd say. First she skipped her book club, then her church group, then even stopped answering the phone. Within a year, Linda went from witty and alert to foggy and withdrawn. Not because her brain failed her, but because her world got too quiet. Rebuilding or maintaining a social life after 70 takes effort, but it's effort worth making. Call an old friend, join a community group, say hello to your neighbor, even if you don't know what to talk about. It's not about filling your calendar, it's about staying human. Being around people reminds you that you belong, that you are still part of the world, and that you're more than just your age. So if your phone hasn't rung in a while, don't wait for someone else to make the first move. Reach out, let someone know you're thinking of them. Because staying socially connected isn't just a nice bonus. It's a form of medicine, one that could add years to your life and life to your years. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, holding on to resentment. There's something heavy about carrying the past into your later years: grudges, old arguments, bitterness that was never spoken but always simmering. Some people think they've moved on just because they don't talk about it anymore. But the truth is, resentment has a way of settling into the bones, and after 70, when time becomes more precious, that weight can quietly eat away at your joy, your relationships, and your peace. Resentment doesn't just affect your mood, it shapes how you see the world. It makes you suspicious of kindness. It keeps your guard up when you should be letting others in. It turns good moments sour before they even have a chance to bloom. You start assuming people are out to disappoint you, that nobody really understands, that nothing can ever be made right. And the saddest part is, it's often not the other person who suffers most. It's you. I once sat across from a man named Edward. He was 84, had 4 grown children, and hadn't spoken to his eldest son in 12 years. He didn't show up when I needed him. Edward said, and I'm not the one who needs to apologize. But the more we talked, the clearer it became. Edward wasn't protecting his pride, he was protecting his pain, and it was isolating him from the very people who still cared. He admitted with tears in his eyes that he wasn't even sure what he was mad about anymore, only that the silence had grown louder than the problem itself. Forgiveness isn't always about saying what happened was okay, it's about choosing to put the pain down so you can move forward. It's about freeing yourself, not the other person. And at this stage of life, peace isn't something you can afford to delay. The clock keeps ticking whether we forgive or not. Better to use your time building memories than reliving wounds. If you're holding on to something or someone, ask yourself this: is it helping you or is it holding you back? You don't need to forget, but you do deserve to feel free and letting go. Even just a little can open up space in your heart for better things. Connection, understanding, and maybe even healing. Number 4, refusing to ask for help. There's a quiet kind of pride that many older folks carry, and while it's built from strength and self-reliance, it can slowly become a trap. After 70, refusing to ask for help isn't just stubbornness, it can be dangerous. Whether it's about your health, your home, or your emotions, keeping everything to yourself may feel like maintaining your dignity, but it often leads to unnecessary struggle and isolation. We were raised to believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness, but in truth, it takes wisdom to recognize when support is needed. Pride can whisper, "You've handled this far. Don't start leaning on others now." But that voice often comes from fear. Fear of looking vulnerable, of being a burden, of admitting that things are changing. And yet not asking for help doesn't keep you strong. It just makes the consequences heavier when they come. Take the case of Harold, 76, who lived alone after his wife passed. He started having trouble with the stairs, but didn't want to bother anyone. One day he slipped and fell, fracturing his hip. When his daughter asked why he never said anything, his answer was simple: "I didn't want to be a problem." What he didn't realize was that the people who love us don't see us as problems. They see us as family, and asking for help isn't a burden. It's an invitation to stay connected. There are many kinds of help: physical, emotional, even practical. Maybe it's having someone check your medications, fix a loose railing, or just sit and listen when you need to talk. Every time you ask for help, you're not giving something up. You're giving others the chance to show they care. And there's something else when you ask for help. You model strength, not weakness. You show others, especially younger generations, that it's okay to be human, that life isn't meant to be carried alone, and that interdependence is just as noble as independence. So if you've been struggling quietly thinking, "I'll figure it out on my own," I want you to pause and ask, what if you didn't have to? What if receiving support was part of living? Well, not giving up, because the truth is accepting help when needed doesn't take away from your dignity, it protects it. Number 5, over-relying on medications as we grow older. It's natural for prescriptions to pile up: blood pressure, cholesterol, sleep aids, pain relief, you name it. But relying too heavily on medication to solve every discomfort can quietly turn into a problem of its own. Many older adults start taking pills like they're candy, often without questioning what they're really for, whether they still need them or how they interact. And that silent routine can chip away at your clarity, your energy, and your quality of life. Now, let's be clear. Medicine saves lives, but it can also mask the underlying causes of symptoms, giving the illusion of stability while your actual health declines behind the scenes. Feeling tired? There's a pill for that. Trouble sleeping? Another pill. Mild pain? Here's one more. But what about the root of the problem? Are we treating the cause or just covering it up? I remember speaking with a man named Frank, age 82. At one point, he was taking nearly a dozen different medications a day. He couldn't remember what half of them were for. Some were meant to treat the side effects of others. Over time, his hands started trembling. His memory got fuzzy, and he felt like a shadow of himself. Eventually, a new doctor reviewed everything and helped him safely reduce the load. Within weeks, he felt more alert, steadier, and clearer than he had in years. It wasn't age making him foggy, it was over-medication. This isn't about throwing away your prescriptions. It's about staying aware, staying involved, and asking questions. What is this for? Do I still need it? Is there a non-drug alternative? Can lifestyle changes help reduce my reliance on this? Those are not rebellious questions. They're responsible ones. You have every right to understand what's going into your body and how it's affecting you. Also keep in mind that your body changes with age. The way you metabolize medication at 75 isn't the same as it was at 45. What was once helpful might now be too strong or even harmful. That's why regular medication reviews with your doctor or pharmacist are so important. Sometimes the healthiest step isn't adding another pill. It's subtracting the unnecessary ones. You don't have to be against medicine to be careful with it. You just have to remember that pills should support your life, not define it. And the more in tune you are with what you really need, the more likely you are to feel like yourself, again sharp, steady, and in control. Number 6. Living in a home that no longer suits your needs. Most people don't think their house could become a danger zone, but after 70, the very place that once felt safest can slowly turn into a silent threat. That second-floor bedroom, those steep front steps, the dim hallway you've walked through 1,000 times. As your body changes, the home must adapt with it, and when it doesn't, the risk doesn't just grow, it multiplies. It's not just about dramatic falls or accidents, though. Those are all too common. It's about the subtle ways a home can start to work against you. The bathroom with no grab bars. The kitchen cabinets that require stretching or climbing the rugs that once looked cozy, but now catch your foot just enough to throw off your balance. These may seem like small details, but at our age, small details can have big consequences. Let me tell you about Eleanor. She was 79, lived in the same home for over 40 years, and loved it dearly. But the staircase had grown difficult, and the laundry room was in the basement. She insisted on doing everything herself. "This is my house," she'd say. "I'm not leaving." One day she missed a step, going downstairs, and broke her wrist. It took months to recover. Not just from the injury, but from the loss of confidence that followed. She started hesitating, second-guessing, pulling back from activities she once enjoyed. The house hadn't just caused the fall. It had taken away her freedom. The truth is, holding on to a familiar space can sometimes come at the cost of your safety, your energy, and your peace of mind. That doesn't mean you have to move. It might just mean making smart adjustments, brighter lighting, removing trip hazards, moving your bedroom downstairs, or installing rails and grips in key spots. These changes don't mean weakness. They mean foresight. They say, "I'm planning to live well right where I am." And if your home really can't be modified to suit your changing needs, it may be time to consider a different space, one that supports your independence rather than undermines it. That decision doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing freedom over friction, ease over nostalgia, and safety over sentiment. Your home should help you live, not quietly steal your ability to take a moment to look around your space. Not with the eyes of who you were 30 years ago, but with the wisdom of who you are today. What needs to shift? What would make life smoother, easier, safer? You've earned comfort, you've earned security. Don't let loyalty to a building cost you the life you're still meant to enjoy. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 7, not adapting to financial changes. Money doesn't retire just because you do. In fact, after 70, the way you handle your finances can quietly shape your entire quality of life for better or worse. And the danger isn't always in having too little. Sometimes it's in failing to adapt. Old spending habits, outdated budgets, or blind spots in planning can slowly lead you towards stress, debt, or even dependence, often without you realizing it until things feel out of control. You've probably heard people say, "I've always managed just fine." But here's the thing. What worked at 50 may not work. At 75, the rhythms of your expenses change. Health costs grow. Income sources shift from paychecks to fixed funds. And yet many people never stop to reevaluate. They continue spending as if nothing has changed, ignoring the quiet drip of expenses that add up faster than expected. I remember a gentleman named Ronald, 74, who'd always prided himself on being frugal, but he hadn't reviewed his financial situation since his wife passed. He still paid for insurance policies. They no longer needed subscribe to services he didn't use, and kept donating money to every charity that sent a letter. One day, he realized his savings were shrinking faster than he'd planned. Not because he was careless, but because he hadn't adapted. Your later years should feel lighter, not more stressful. That means reviewing your spending, checking for leaks in your budget. And this is important, letting go of guilt around money. Many seniors feel bad about spending on themselves, or even talking to their children about finances. But silence can cause far more harm than honesty. Don't be afraid to ask for help reviewing your situation, whether it's from a trusted family member, a financial advisor, or someone at your bank. Let them help you spot risks. Avoid scams and make smart adjustments. Sometimes just a few simple changes, like consolidating accounts, canceling subscriptions, or creating a spending plan can restore a huge sense of control. And if your financial picture includes supporting adult children or grandchildren, be mindful. Generosity is beautiful, but it should never come at the cost of your own peace. You've done your part, you've built, saved, and given. Now is the time to protect what you have and use it to support your well-being. Financial freedom in your 70s isn't just about having money. It's about having clarity, confidence, and the ability to make choices without fear. By adapting wisely, you give yourself the best chance to enjoy these years with calm and confidence. And that friend is worth every penny. Number 8. Living with people who drain your spirit. One of the most overlooked things that can ruin your later years isn't illness, injury, or even money. It's the people you share your space with. After 70, your environment matters more than ever, and that includes the emotional environment. Living with someone who constantly criticizes, controls, or creates tension can slowly wear you down in ways you may not even notice at first. You might tell yourself, I'm just keeping the peace, or it's family, I have to endure it. But here's the truth, no matter who it is, whether it's an adult child, a grandchild, a sibling, or even a spouse, if being around them leaves you feeling small, anxious, or invisible, it's a serious issue, not just for your happiness, but for your health. Emotional stress can affect your sleep, your appetite, your blood pressure, even your immune system. And when that stress comes from someone you live with, there's no real escape. It becomes a low, constant hum in the background of your life. You wake up tense, you hesitate to speak freely. You stop inviting people over. Little by little, you lose yourself. I once met a woman named Joyce, 75, who moved in with her daughter's family after her husband passed. At first, it seemed like a good arrangement, but as time went on, she started to feel more like a maid than a guest. She cooked, cleaned, and babysat, but had no say in the house. Her son-in-law was cold. Her grandkids ignored her. And her daughter, though, often said, "Mom, just go with the flow." Joyce never complained, but her spark dimmed. She stopped reading, lost weight, and began having panic attacks. It wasn't her age, it was her environment. Protecting your emotional space is just as important as protecting your physical one. That doesn't mean being selfish. It means being self-aware. If a living situation is draining you, you have the right to speak up. You have the right to set boundaries. And yes, you have the right to leave if necessary. These years should be about peace, not pressure. Joy, not judgment. If you're walking on eggshells in your own home, that's not home. It's a trap, and you don't need to justify your discomfort to anyone. Your feelings are reason enough. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is say, "This isn't working for me." Whether it leads to a better conversation, a new agreement, or a new home altogether, reclaiming your peace is never a mistake. You've earned the right to feel safe, respected, and at ease in the place you lay your head. Don't let anyone, no matter how close, take that from you. Number 9, staying mentally stagnant after a certain age. Many people quietly stop challenging their minds. The books sit unopened, the hobbies fade, the conversations get shorter and more routine. It's not that they've lost interest, it's that they've started to believe it doesn't matter anymore. I'm too old for all that they say, but the truth is, your brain needs movement just as much as your body does, and when it doesn't get it, it begins to shrink slowly, quietly, and sometimes permanently. Mental stagnation isn't just about forgetfulness. It's about losing your sense of curiosity, your drive to ask questions, your spark to learn or try something new. When that goes, life starts to flatten. The days blend together, confidence drops, and worst of all, you start to believe the lie that nothing exciting is left. I remember a man named Gerald, 80 years old, who had been a science teacher for decades. But after retiring, he stopped reading, stopped discussing ideas, stopped exploring. That part of life is over, he said. And slowly he began to fade, not physically, but mentally. His world shrank down to a few TV shows and the same conversations. And yet when someone handed him a book about astronomy one day, something lit up. "I used to love this stuff," he whispered within weeks. He joined a small online discussion group and began writing again. Not because someone told him to, but because the door was always open. He had just forgotten it was there. Learning doesn't have to mean formal study. It could be as simple as watching a documentary, trying a new recipe, picking up a crossword, or asking your grandson to show you how to use a new app. The point isn't to become an expert, it's to stay awake inside. Every new thing you try is like a breath of fresh air for your brain, and don't let technology scare you off. Many seniors avoid new tools out of fear. They'll mess it up, but there's nothing shameful about being new to something. In fact, being a beginner again is one of the healthiest mental exercises there is. It builds patience, adaptability, and confidence. 3 things we all need no matter our age. So if your days have started to feel too quiet, too repetitive, or too passive, take that as a signal your mind is asking for more, because a curious mind stays young no matter what the calendar says. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 9 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 10. Ignoring your purpose. When the job ends, the kids are grown, and the pace of life slows down. Many people find themselves asking quietly, what now, after 70? The danger isn't just boredom, it's drifting without a sense of direction. Even the calmest days can feel hollow. The hours pass, but they don't feel lived. And that emptiness doesn't just affect your mood. It can wear away at your spirit. Purpose isn't about grand achievements. It's not about running a business or saving the world. It's about waking up with a reason to get out of bed. Something that gives your day shape and meaning, whether it's tending a garden, calling a friend who needs support, teaching your grandchild how to fix something, or simply being the person in your circle who still shows up with a smile. I knew a woman named Bernice, 77, who had retired from her job at the post office for a while. She was thrilled to rest, but after the first year, something changed. She started sleeping later, watching more TV, and avoiding her social groups. I don't really do much anymore, she'd say, and you could see it the way her eyes lost their spark. But then one of her neighbors asked if she'd be willing to teach a weekly knitting class at the local library. At first she hesitated. Why would anyone want to learn from me? But she went, and within a few weeks her whole posture changed. She had purpose. Again, not flashy or loud, but deeply human. Your purpose doesn't have to be visible to others. It just has to be real to you. Maybe it's sharing stories, comforting someone who's struggling, or even taking care of a pet. The point is, you matter. Your presence, your voice, your energy, they still have weight. And when you stop believing that, you start to shrink in your own eyes. It's never too late to ask, what am I here for today? Not this year, not this decade, just today. Purpose is built in. Small acts, repeated with heart. When you live like you still matter, you start to feel like you still matter. And that, my friend, changes everything. Number 11. Chasing youth instead of embracing age. There's a big difference between staying young at heart and trying to pretend you're still 35 after 70. Some folks fall into the trap of chasing youth. They spend time, money, and energy trying to look younger, act younger, or avoid anything that reminds them of their age. And while a little pride in your appearance is a good thing, constantly fighting time can quietly drain your joy, self-worth, and peace. Trying to stay young at all costs often leads to comparison. You start measuring yourself against who you used to be or against others who seem to be aging better. This mindset turns every wrinkle into a failure, every ache into a flaw, and every gray hair into something to hide. It's exhausting, and it never ends, because no matter how hard you try, the clock keeps moving. And if your happiness depends on staying the same, you'll never feel like you're enough. I knew a man named Dennis, 73, who spent a fortune on anti-aging treatments, hair dyes, skin creams, even experimental injections. He said it made him feel in control, but the truth was he was terrified of being seen as old. And because of that, he avoided people his age, skipped events where he might feel too old, and slowly started isolating himself. His life became smaller, not because of his age, but because of how hard he tried to deny it. But aging, when embraced, can be beautiful. There's a calm, a confidence, a depth that only comes from time. The way you carry yourself, the stories you've lived, the wisdom behind your words. These are not things to be covered up, they're things to be shared. Letting go of the race to stay young doesn't mean letting yourself go. It means letting yourself be. It means taking care of your body because you love it, not because you hate the way it's changing. It means dressing in a way that feels good to you, not to impress someone who doesn't matter. It means choosing to see your years as a gift, not a burden. You don't have to chase the past to have a full life today. In fact, the more you make peace with where you are, the more open you become to joy, love, and purpose. All the things that never age. Number 12. Avoiding conversations about death. For many people, the subject of death feels like a door, best left closed. After 70, it's not unusual to avoid talking about it altogether, whether out of fear, discomfort, or the hope that not speaking about it will somehow keep it far away. But in truth, avoiding the topic doesn't protect you. It only leaves you and the people you love unprepared for one of life's most certain realities. When you don't face the idea of death, important decisions get delayed. Wills remain unwritten. Final wishes stay unspoken, and emotional closure never gets the chance to happen. This kind of avoidance creates confusion, stress, and even conflict later on for your family, your caregivers, and sometimes for you. I once spoke with a woman named Carol, 82, whose husband passed. Suddenly, they had always avoided the topic. We thought we had more time. She said as a result, she had no idea what he wanted in terms of care, burial, or even how to handle his belongings. The grief was already heavy, but the uncertainty made it even harder. "I just wish we'd talked," she whispered. Even once talking about death doesn't invite it in. It prepares you to live more freely when you've said what you need to say, made the choices that reflect your values, and given your loved ones clear guidance. There's a peace that comes. You're no longer living in quiet fear. You're living with intention. These conversations don't have to be morbid. They can be rooted in love. What do you want people to remember about you? How do you want your story told? What brings you comfort? Who should make decisions if you can't? These aren't scary questions. They're sacred ones. And here's something most people don't realize. Talking about death often deepens your appreciation for life. It reminds you to say, "I love you" more often, to forgive quicker, and to savor the time you have. It's not about planning to die, it's about choosing how you want to live. Until then, with clarity, grace, and connection, you don't need to have all the answers right away. Just begin one conversation, one letter, one step toward peace. Because when you stop being afraid of the end, you make more room for the richness of everything in between. Final thoughts as we wrap up this video. Take a moment to reflect on these 12 things we've walked through. Which one spoke to you the loudest? Was there a habit you've noticed creeping into your life, or maybe something you've been quietly carrying that it's finally time to release? The truth is, life after 70 can be rich, meaningful, and deeply fulfilling. But only if we stay awake to the things that threaten to steal that from us. Some of the biggest dangers we face aren't loud or obvious. They're quiet, easy to ignore. That's why noticing them is powerful, because once you see them, you can choose differently. So which of these do you want to start changing today? You don't need to tackle all 12. Start with one. One shift, one decision to honor yourself and the life you still have ahead. Because it's never too late to rewrite the story of how you live. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.